Hey guys, we already up to March 12th, May 12th, 2025. I'm up this morning, 9:16. Good morning to those who woke up with me today. Happy birthday to those who were born May 12th, and my condolences go out to those who did not get up with us. This is your boy Doug. And we're going to go out today to Canton, Georgia to look at a microwave, and we're going to look at a refrigerator in Alpharetta. I'm all about my business today. What's up, guys? As y'all know, this is the big week on the 17th, 3 days from now. 5 days from now. I'll be ringing the bell. Right now, we need to get some gas. And head up to Canton, Georgia. So, let's roll. Let's see who's got some gas. Murphy is 267. What's Racetrack looking like? Damn, Racetrack is 2. Alright, we're going to Walmart. Walmart wins today. Then off to Canton we go. Got a microwave in Canton that's making a weird noise, and we got a refrigerator with an ice maker issue. Try to make this last bits of cast before I take a few days off to get married. These guys are putting work in over here. They done took the siding off, everything. Got us in the gas station, open up directly across the street. Don't have a turning lane, so you know this is going to be one big ass mess. One big ass mess. See, they put the pole back down. Murphy, activate the pump. Activate. Now get the card. View. Put some fuel. Up here, okay. This is what I use, guys. It's backwards, but it says gas buddy. Maybe I'll turn it around. It's called, can y'all see that? It automatically deposits into your savings or checking account the difference at the pump. And it be adding up too, man. Use them dollars and cents, feel me? Oh, so found out yesterday that our president is now investigating COVID-19. I'm gonna say it's known as C-19. YouTube be watching what you say, so it turns out that there's an investigation being held, and the originators of this thing are in trouble, as well as the people that came up with the antidote. So they made a problem and created an antidote, and now they're under investigation. Is that something? I can't talk like I want to because of YouTube rules and regulations, and I don't want to get cut off. So seems like that situation, that's under investigation, and the actual virus is under investigation. Told you. And Elon Musk is releasing the names of the PDF files. Epstein Island got some PDF files being released. He released them last week. Trump made a deal with China. Trump making all kind of deals. The tariffs are a tool used to manipulate trade sales into our favor. And it seems like he's successful in that. Gas prices are going down. Everything's happening slowly but slowly. Hate the man if you want, but he gets it done. He says what he's gonna do and he do it. He keeps his word. That's the model of a person from New York. They keep their word. They say they're gonna do what they say they're gonna do, and they do it. Feel me? All right, let's go to Canton first. Look at a microwave. Then we're gonna go to Alpharetta. Done. Take my sweet ass time because I'm in no rush to do anything anymore.
So it's not really that much of a difference. Then you click here, and there's your 1 month average. Gold is not a speculative investment.
One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. The America protected again.
So Georgia probably just did the coolest thing I've seen any state do in a while. If you live in a Georgia...
Pharmaceuticals by about 80%. Essentially, we are going to pay less than the country that's paying the least for pharmaceuticals from here on in? How does that work?
First of all, it cannot be overstated how big of a deal this executive order that President Trump will be signing in a couple of hours is for American families, and especially our seniors who have been ripped off by very large and rich pharmaceutical companies. The United States of America is less than 5% of the world's population, yet we purchase 75% of Big Pharma's profits. We pay an astronomical amount in comparison to other countries around the world. So the president is signing an executive order today that is going to implement most favored nations drug pricing and is going to reduce the cost of drugs in this country by more than half at least. America is going to pay a better rate and a fairer rate to the rest of the world. That's what the American people deserve. This is huge news. And also, I will add, we know that healthcare costs and drug prices were the #1 driver of Biden inflation. So not only are we bringing those down, but we are ending Biden inflation once and for all.
All right, everybody, welcome to Monday morning. It's already been a busy week. I mean, we're only a couple hours into Monday, and it's already been a busy week. So much is happening. And one of the things I just wanted to say before he got on camera and they do this thing is to, if you're a praying person, pray for President Trump. With him going overseas and as he begins to drive a stake deep into the heart of the deep state. This is a monumental, historic executive order, and it basically is cutting between everything we've seen what Doge has done and how they eviscerated USAID and systematically one thing after the other. He has worked methodically with a scalpel to just start tearing apart the deep state funding, the Democrat funding, all of their grift, all their corruption, bit by bit by bit, is just being sliced away. And then today, you're about to see a huge slice of this go away. Huge. I don't know how some of these networks are going to be able to survive, because I don't see how these pharmaceutical companies are going to be able to pay for the advertising and the subsidizing that they do for the talent on some of these networks. I don't know how they do it. And so people are going to get kind of squirrely. They're probably going to try and strike back any way they can. So pray for President Trump, because this is monumental. Cutting drug prices down 50, 80%. It is, I couldn't even imagine that this was going to happen. Couldn't even imagine. Now, luckily we're not at the age, myself and Robin, where we're taking all kinds of drugs and everything, but there are many people who take pharmaceuticals from the time they're young to treat different kind of conditions. And the insurance companies, your insurance rates should drop. Why would the insurance rates drop? Because part of the reason why the insurance rates are so high is they have to insure your pharmaceuticals, both at work and if you're on a private policy. So the ripple effect here is going to be monumental, from the media to politics to the food you eat. All of this stuff is really going to be impacted to the better. Now I'm waiting to see how the Democrats respond. I'm waiting to see how they come out and complain about this and say everybody, hey, this is the worst thing ever. You're going to have to pay less. How do you? The two things now that are going to kill their party, they have to convince you it's not right for you. We should be letting the newcomers in. No. You should be paying higher prices for pharmaceuticals. No. You should be paying more in taxes. So we can't do, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, et cetera, et cetera. Everything that President Trump is doing is putting them in a position that they have to advocate against you. Now, of course, there's a bunch of liberal nuts out there who are, they'll say anything to keep in power, but people who can discern have to begin looking at things and going, this doesn't make any sense at all. You guys are fighting to hurt us, to continue hurting us. And it doesn't make any sense. And I think people with functioning frontal lobes are going to wake up, or begin to wake up, and say, this guy Trump is actually getting some stuff done. Crazy, isn't it? All it took was a new president. He said it. You didn't have to do all kinds of, in fact, at this point, Congress is feckless. They're doing nothing. They've only passed 5 bills to his desk since he's been in office, the lowest basically in history. So this is all Trump. Everything you're seeing is all Trump. That's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I voted for this. You voted for this. But I didn't think it was going to happen with this speed. So today at 9:30, in 6 minutes, they say, they're going to come out. He and RFK Jr. are going to basically announce it. So that should be kind of interesting. Let me see if the stock market is not really reporting yet. It just opened, it opens in like 5 minutes. But yesterday, after everything happened, and I tried to let everybody know, just chill, just breathe deep. This is expected. This is what's going to happen. And SV and the mods and everybody were telling me, oh my God, gold is crashing. It's crashing. You won't believe what's happening with gold. I'm like, it's supposed to happen this way. If people don't tell you, yeah, they're lying to you. All right, so let me just show you something about gold. So yesterday, this is where everybody said, it's crashing, it's falling off a cliff. And I said, just hold on, hold. You heard me say it. And I said, it's going to go like this as people move money and they move it around to take advantage of stock deals, and it's going to come back. And what do you know? If you understand how the markets work, this isn't hard to predict. So, yesterday, Sunday, gold pricing goes 24/7. The announcement comes out, bam, gold drops. And I tell people, just hold on a second. You'll be all right. Just chill. And it dropped, and then it dropped more, and now it's coming back up. But in totality, it's down 3%. That's not a crash. Over 5 days, it's 3.76%. So it's not really that much of a difference. Then you click here, and there's your 1 month average. Gold is not a speculative investment. It never was. It never will be. It's long term. The steadiness of stability is what you're looking for. So when this isn't even part of anything for Lear Capital. This is just me addressing people yesterday who were freaking out. Oh, Barry, you said buy gold. Oh my God, it's crashing. No, it didn't crash. I don't think you've experienced it. If you thought yesterday was a crash, you haven't experienced a crash. And if there was a crash, if there was an economic crash, then you should have more gold. See, that's the opposite of what people seem to think. No, you should have more if things actually are crashing. Because, that's what, it's never going to be worth zero. All right, so we're still waiting for President Trump to come out here. Let me go to a couple of his truth posts. So, before I get to the truth posts, after his press conference, depending on how long it goes, I'm planning on covering the deal that Scott Bessent did with China and all the details about that. We've got a whole bunch of information, and it's just 9:27 on a Monday. All of this just 9:27 on a Monday. It's going to be a very, very busy day. And then President Trump is hitting the airplane. He's heading to Saudi Arabia at 10:30. So he'll be done. But as you've seen, things are going to continue to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if he holds a press conference. He's going to have, 12 hours on a plane? So he may end up talking some more while he's there. So these got posted. And let me bring this up here real quick. Drug prices to be cut by 59% plus. So it could be anywhere between 30 and 80% depending on the drug. Plus gasoline, energy, groceries, all other costs down. No inflation. Love, DJT.
You have a message.
Yeah. Sometimes take a step back and say, it's only been 100 and something days. It seems like he's been in office for a year or two. So you can expect, like I said yesterday, with people who were freaking out, I'm like, this is only May. Hold on, the summer's coming. You can't even imagine what August and September are going to look like. You've seen where we've gone from January 20th to where we are now. So at that same rate, because I remember me being one of the same people saying, I don't know how he can keep up this pace. I'm convinced now he can and he will. Because the next shoe to drop is we're waiting to hear about habeas, whether or not that's going to be suspended. I've talked to a few law enforcement officers who are telling me something's going on. Something is happening. We're being told we can't take overtime. Not take overtime. We can't take vacation. Something is going on, and we don't know what, but we'll look at that. So he said that. Then the whole thing with the big jet, the big beautiful jet. So the fact that the Defense Department is getting a gift free of charge of a 747 aircraft to replace the 40-year-old Air Force One temporarily is a very public and transparent transaction, so bothers the crooked Democrats that they insist we pay top dollar for the plane. Anybody who can do that, the Dems are world-class losers. MAGA. President Trump is cutting a deal and to get use of the hotel in the sky, as they call this giant jet that Qatar is willing to gift to the Defense Department. And for some reason, that has got people all freaked out. I mean, just going crazy. Oh, it's a gift. He's on the take. It's corrupt. And it's like, it's to the Defense Department, number one. Number two, when the details come out, it'll be fully transparent. Everyone will be able to look at all the different clauses and leases or whatever it's going to be. You see it. And then you get people. And I wanted to reach through my monitor this morning as I was looking at Twitter. And people are like, I don't trust Qatar. They're going to put like bugs and like bombs and stuff in there. And then he's going to be in danger. So you think that your president is going to get his butt on a plane that every square inch, nook and cranny hasn't been investigated, inspected, poked and prodded before he ever turns the engine on? Seriously? Again, people, I keep saying, this is the guy you voted for. If he says this is good and I'm getting on it, then why are people on X all freaked out? Because they're not having faith in his decisions. They're having faith in some. I think he is doing the right thing with the newcomers. Oh, I don't think he should use the Qatar jet. Oh no, shouldn't do that either. They just put the camera on in the room. So yesterday he said he was going to be signing the executive order at 9 and then doing the press conference at 9:30. But I'm seeing there's a table set up where they normally sign the executive orders. They bring out that little table, and so he hasn't signed yet. He's going to do it all at once. So we're going to see the signing, and then we're going to see both he and RFK Jr. speak. Great, very good. But what I'm saying, that they're all complaining about the jet. Wake up. Wake up. With our technology and with the guys we have in place, everyone from the pilot to whatever staff are on that jet in terms of everyone's going to pour through this thing. If he does it, you have to just trust he knows what he's doing. Otherwise, what are we doing here? Next thing he posted, he went after wait a minute, no, not wrong window. Hold on. He went after Martha Raddatz from ABC. So funny to watch old timer Martha Raddatz on ABC Fake News, the Slopodopoulos show this morning, blurt out that effectively Pope Leo's selection had nothing to do with Donald Trump. I didn't think it had anything to do with Donald Trump. Did it? Well, it came out of nowhere, but it was on her Trump deranged mind. Remember, I did win the Catholic vote by a lot. Bob Iger should do something about the losers and haters he's got on his low-rated shows. It's time for change, MAGA. So, is he saying that he had something to do with the Pope getting elected? Well, one thing, he's going after the chairman of Disney, Bob Iger, and saying, you got to clean this up. At this point, it's getting ridiculous. It's ridiculous on all of the media channels. It is a 24/7 lie fest all day long, and it's getting just to the point where they don't have anything else. The politicians like AOC and Bernie Their entire modus operandi right now is to just stand up and lie. And, you know, it's that bad. And then he just confirmed as well, this was at 6:21 a.m., that Eden Alexander, the hostage we spoke about yesterday, who is thought to be dead, has been indeed released and is on his way home. So it's 9:34. And just to sit back and go, okay, what's happened so far at 9:34? Well, he's got a hostage back. He has a jet pledged to him for free, a huge palace in the sky, they're calling it. They're about to announce an executive order and do a speech on rolling drug prices back 30, 80%, depending on the drug. And then, oh yeah, by the way, we got to deal with China. 4 things. And it's Monday at 9:30. Unbelievable. So much news. So what the little housekeeping here I have for you is what we're going to do today is we're going to cover this speech. And then after he's done, we're going to talk about the China deal. And then I'm probably going to come back about noon, 12:30, and do a regular show. And I've got a couple of good guests that we're going to be bringing on. And of course, tonight we've got the Rumble show. Well, not the Rumble show, the evening show with the Rumble Jump Over. So all of that is coming up today. You're going to get 3 shows. Somehow we're going to get 3 shows out of this, because I'm not just going to stay the whole time, because I know President Trump's probably going to do, let's say, he's going to take information from the press as well. This may be a 45-minute press conference. Boom! Right off the bat. Let's see here. Let me show this to you guys. I was waiting for the opening bell. Opening bell, it's up almost 1,000 points at the open. That's big. That's big. And then you're going to see it again today. You're going to see fluctuation. Things are going to move up and down. Profit taking, people taking losses, margin calls, all kinds of things happening. So just watch. Let's just see how it goes throughout the day. And you can watch both of those things happen simultaneously. So I'm waiting for President Trump to come out. I've got the different things on. He's not out yet, so we can probably take a few comments. I don't want to miss him coming out, so let me make sure I move this window up in case he comes up, and then I can take comments with. There we go. Let's see. Trump is on live. No, don't see him live yet. Sorry, guys. Sometimes people say that he's going to be coming on. Let's see here. Barry is a music connoisseur. I love it. Yeah, I love music. New Pope will try to turn the Catholic people against President Trump. Well, he's starting already by saying the right things, the new Pope is. I mean, he said today a couple things that kind of shocked people, but we shall see what kind of Pope he'll be. Marcus, crypto is exploding. Interesting. Dow is up over 1,000, somebody just said at this point. Yep, here we go. Good day, happy Monday. Hello, Toy. How are you? How are you? Yeah. Oh, we got the typical troll people coming in here. Did he get permission from his bosses to do this? I believe it when Congress passes it. Otherwise, it's a smoke show. Somebody want to tell him? Somebody want to tell him? Oh man, that's too funny. That's too funny. I trust Trump. I don't even worry anymore. For the guy who was talking.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Drug prices by up to 60 or 80% is going to meet a lot of resistance, because if that were to meet any kind of resistance in the House or the Senate, those people might as well start packing the stuff up in their boxes now. They are short-termers, and if anything, what President Trump is doing right now, and you have to understand this is part of the process as well, is throw as much stuff out there, flood the zone, and by doing so, also expose these rats. When I say rats, both Democrats and Republicans. Yeah, there's some rats on the right too, as well. And just let them show. I want to see the first politician that comes out and says, no, I don't want people to have cheaper drug prices. That would be political suicide in epic proportions. So is it going to pass? If it needs to get passed. But is it going to pass? Well, that depends on how many people want to just fall on a sword and be completely idiots, who want the sadomasochistic pleasure of just trying to, show everybody their TDS. You really think people are going to do that? Wow. Nope, he's not on yet. Nope, I just don't see the resistance happening. I just don't see that. SB is cracking me up. I sent you back to Blue Sky to cry. Oh my goodness. Wow. Trump is swarming them. No, I don't have anything frozen. Let me check the other monitors, other feeds, just to make sure. 1 second. This will tell me if it's running on anywhere else. But let's see here. Nope, I've got, okay. Just so I can show you. Here's what you got. When you say it's live feed, I use primarily the White House feed, and this is what the Lighthouse. This is what the White House feed merely says coming soon. It's like an attraction. Coming soon. We'll be there in a minute. Just chill. So you know I'm not missing anything. Let me just put this up here. I can do it this way, so you guys can all see as well. There it is, right there. Coming shortly. We're on our way. We'll be there. Hold your horses, so you're not missing anything. You can actually see right there. This is the White House feed, and as soon as he comes out, they'll turn that on, and once they turn that on, we'll be able to rock and roll. So there it is. President Trump holds a press conference with the Secretary of Health and Human Services. I'll leave that on. I'll leave it up so you guys can see it, and then we can just I can keep taking comments with that right there. Thus, if I'm looking this way and it comes on, I can hear it. So let's just go with that. Deanna Folk, exactly. Keep President Trump in prayers today for his overseas trip to be safe and protective shield around him. Indeed. I always get nervous when he ends up flying. Let's see. Lower pharmaceutical prices are horrible for consumers. Oh my. Lower drug prices? Oh, that would suck. Wow, said nobody. SB, it says you dropped something big. What did SV drop? Let's see. Did he send me a notice? Okay, so he said the richest 10% fuel most of global warming. The irony. Turns out the richest 10% of the world's population are behind 65% of global warming since 1990. Whew, wow. I didn't even know that. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy when you think about things in that regard. Gold is correcting to reflect a stronger dollar. No worries. Yeah. This is part of, you know what the thing is? We're in such a different realm. This is so new to so many people who've only focused here for so long. And now it's to the point where you got all this information available to you, and it's incumbent upon you to begin doing your research and understand how all of this works. Because just, what was it? I don't know, a week ago, people were freaking out about tariffs, and you had the media telling you all kinds of BS. Oh, the tariffs don't work. The tariffs are awful. What are we going to do? Tariffs are going to pay more. They were lying. They were lying the entire time. But people who had never even researched the word tariff, who had no basis or substantiation of their own freaked out because, again, they fell for the media blitz. And the only way this stuff is going to stop is when, for instance, habeas is being talked about. Stephen Miller came out and said, we're considering suspending habeas. So at that point, as that was said, don't turn on the news. Don't click the button and go, look, what's Fox saying? What's it? No, they want you to do that. When you hear something you haven't heard before, which you may hear today, when someone says, hey, we're considering suspending habeas. What the hell is habeas? Most of the people in the media don't even know.
What it means.
They get fed in the ear. Oh, well, yeah. Habeas is when you can detain people without any courts getting in their way. Go look it up. And when I say look it up the way you should and get the information that you can so you can make an informed analysis yourself. Oh, so that's what habeas is. Has it ever been done before? That's another thing. And people, I don't know, has it ever been done before? Go look it up. What's all this stuff? What's all this stuff about Andrew Jackson? And why is he talking about Jackson? Go look it up. This is a different world, and it requires people to not have to have newscasters telling them what something is. And in fact, what I try to do most is bring a title or a subject to you and then tell you, go look it up. You don't have to listen to me. Go look it up. And we're going to continue to hear different things because Trump is taking that snow globe and he's shaking it like this, and people have not seen this probably in their lifetimes. I know I haven't seen this. And he's looking at all the different recesses of government saying, can we use Alien Enemies Act? How many of you had heard that? And all of a sudden, everyone on television was an AEA expert. Yet none of them were experts. Somebody was telling them what their interpretation of it. Go look it up. This is going to happen. That's amazing. I just mentioned that 3 or 4 things. And just by looking at those 3 or 4 things, those are things nobody has talked about. Literally, no one's talked about suspending habeas. No one's talked about the Aliens Enemies Act. Nobody's talked about these things, probably for decades. And so you got to dust off your Constitution and everything. Oh, okay, I understand what this is. Now, that's what we're going to have to do moving forward. And so we're going to see these 2 guys come out, and I'm sure he's going to blast us. I'm looking at the different posters that they're setting up in the room, and these posters are data, and these posters are all kinds of different pictures. And so I'm interested. They just put up a picture as they're begin getting ready here. They put up a picture of the Golden Dome. Why would you be talking about the Golden Dome today as you're talking about pharmaceuticals? We're going to find out. There's another picture here that they're setting up. And this picture that they're setting up over here looks to be, let's see here. This is a very dangerous world. We're going to protect our citizens like never before. So you're going to hear something about the Golden Dome for America. And this might have something to do, and he's dropping something, this may have something to do with his trip going to Saudi Arabia. Because these 2 things that I'm looking at have nothing to do with pharmaceuticals. So he's going to break some news today. What's the 3rd thing I see here? The 3rd thing is, I can't read, it's too small on the screen. Even if I put glasses on, I wouldn't be able to see that. So you're going to get more information. I can tell you that right now. You're going to get information that we haven't even heard in the last couple days. Something's going to be coming out about the Golden Dome. And of course, don't listen to the media. Go look it up. President Trump, greatest president ever. Exactly. Sounds like the habeas stuff may be going on. It may indeed. Almost went broke paying share of the $18,000 per dose times 6 doses chemo treatments. This could prevent people from going bankrupt to being sick. Maybe even prevent some people from dying. Imagine that. Literally every commercial on TV is from Big Pharma. It's insane. Yeah, it's actually crazy. And they tailor it that way on the news shows because most of the people investing their time into news are people who are a little bit older, and that's when stuff starts breaking down. And I don't mean anything bad because I got a knee that's breaking down on me, and I was pitched by my ortho, and I think I told you guys this, and he's like, we got this great thing, it's called some sort of plasma replacement stuff that we get from umbilical cords. And I was, huh? And I came back and go, Robin, where are they getting this stuff from the umbilical cords? And she looked it up. And she goes, you can't take that. And then, what is it? Well, they're taking plasma and stem cells from aborted babies and they want to shoot it in your knee. I'll limp. I'm sorry. If it's cloudy outside like it's raining today and I feel like some arthritis flaring up, I'll take a couple bare aspirins. I am not shooting my knee up with plasma from aborted babies. That ain't happening. No, ain't ever gonna happen. And I'm pissed off that the doctor even asked me for that and see if that was something I want. And it was so smooth. We can do it right here. It's pretty much painless. It'll take us about 15 or 20 minutes, and that's it. It'll be all right. And so if I had said yes, they would have injected me with that crap. So RFK Jr., Dr. Oz, and the other guy, Dr. McCary, have walked in the room. Another doctor, as you can see, here comes the president.
Thank you, everybody. It's a big day. Should be fun. I don't know. You'll maybe find reasons why it's not. But I can't imagine because we have a lot of great things happening. It's been a very strong week and a very strong weekend. Before we begin, let me say a few words about the historic events that took place over the last few days. On Saturday, my administration helped broker a full and immediate ceasefire, I think a permanent one, between India and Pakistan, ending a dangerous conflict of two nations with lots of nuclear weapons. And they were going at it hot and heavy, and it was seemingly not going to stop. And I'm very proud to let you know that the leadership of India and Pakistan was unwavering, powerful, but unwavering in both cases. And having these, they really were, from the standpoint of having the strength and the wisdom and fortitude to fully know and to understand the gravity of the situation. And we helped a lot. And we helped also with trade. I said, come on, we're going to do a lot of trade with you guys. Let's stop it. Let's stop it. If you stop it, we're doing trade. If you don't stop it, we're not going to do any trade. People have never really used trade the way I used it. That I can tell you. And all of a sudden they said, I think we're going to stop. And they have. And they did it for a lot of reasons, but trade is a big one. We're going to do a lot of trade with Pakistan. We're going to do a lot of trade with India. We're negotiating with India right now. We're going to be soon negotiating with Pakistan. And we stopped the nuclear conflict. I think it could have been a bad nuclear war. Millions of people could have been killed. So I'm very proud of that. I also want to thank Vice President Vance and Secretary of State Rubio for their work and efforts. They worked very hard on that. We also, as you know, created a situation where the Houthis, for the first time ever, have ceased firing, and they've let it be known that they're not going to be firing at American ships anymore, not going to be firing at Americans anymore. This was a heavy barrage that lasted for approximately 50 days. And as you know, they've been in war essentially for forever. But over the last 10 years, they've been very difficult for other countries. Nobody was able to do what we did. But they stopped, and we take their word for it. Their surrogates and them directly said, we don't want to do this anymore. And so we were satisfied with that. In addition, yesterday we achieved a total reset with China after productive talks in Geneva. Both sides now agreed to reduce the tariffs imposed after April 2nd to 10% for 90 days as negotiators continue on the larger structural issues. And I want to tell you that a couple of things. First of all, that doesn't include the tariffs that are already on, that are our tariffs, and it doesn't include tariffs on cars, steel, aluminum, things such as that, or tariffs that may be imposed on pharmaceuticals, because we want to bring the pharmaceutical businesses back to the United States, and they're already starting to come back now based on tariffs, because they don't want to pay 25, 50, or 100% tariffs, so they're moving them back to the United States. I spoke to Tim Cook this morning, and he's going to, I think, even up his numbers, $500 billion. He's going to be building a lot of plants in the United States for Apple, and we look forward to that. I really do look forward to that. But the talks in Geneva were very friendly. The relationship is very good. We're not looking to hurt China. China was being hurt very badly. They were closing up factories. They were having a lot of unrest. And they were very happy to be able to do something with us. And the relationship is very, very good. I'll speak to President Xi maybe at the end of the week. We have some other things we're doing. But one of the biggest things that we're doing, and I don't know if people realize this, but we made a great deal with China, a great trade deal. But it was a much bigger deal originally, and then they canceled it right in the last day. Some of you faces I remember were there when that happened. I remember you. And we had a deal where they opened up their country to trade with the United States. And they took that away at the last moment, and then I canceled the whole thing. And then 6 months later, we ended up doing a smaller deal. But it was a big deal. It was $50 billion worth of product that they were going to purchase from our farmers, etc. And we agreed to that. People thought it was 15 because they were doing 15. We made it 50 because I misunderstood the 15. I said, you got to get 50. Because when I asked, if you remember the story, when I asked, what are we doing with them? My Secretary of Agriculture at the time, Sonny Perdue, said, sir, it's about 15 billion and we're asking for 15. And I thought he said 50. So I said, so they came back with a deal at 15. And I said, no way, I want 50. Because you said 50. They said, sir, we didn't say that anyway. Bottom line, I said, go back and ask for 50, and they gave us 50. And they were honoring the deal. And we would call them up a lot for the corn and for the wheat and for everything. They were honoring the deal. And then when Biden got in, they no longer honored the deal. There was nobody to call. I would call on an average of once every 2 weeks to say, come on, you have to speed it up a little bit. And our farmers were doing great. I said to them, buy more land and bigger tractors, if you remember. That's what happened. But the deal was a very good deal. But the best part of the deal was that we opened up China. China agreed to open itself up to American business to go in. And it would have been a great thing, I think, for China. They would be able to see things that they haven't seen. They would be able to buy products that they have never been able to buy. Would have been great for American business. I think it would have brought unity between China, better unity between China and the United States. And the bottom line is that they canceled it the last day. We were all set to sign it, and then I went a little bit angry. I got a little angry. They said they canceled the deal. The deal was done. It was all ready to be signed, and people went over. They came back to me, sir, they don't want to sign the opening up China. Well, the biggest thing that we're discussing is the opening up China, and they've agreed to do that. But it's going to take a while to paper it. You know, that's not the easiest thing to paper. But that's the single, I think, to me, some people would disagree. Some people would say we're getting a lot of money with tariffs or whatever. But, you know, especially when you add what we already have. Because remember, we're already getting the 50% on steel and different things. That's not included in these numbers. So you can add that. But the biggest thing to me is the opening up. I think it would be fantastic for our businesses if we could go in and compete with China. It would be a lot of jobs for China. It would be, I think, at a time when they can frankly use the jobs. And that's what we're talking about. So that's a very, very important element to add. So when Scott, I watched him speak the other day, and I think he didn't want to say it, but I said, it's okay to say it. Look, if we don't get it, we don't get it. But if we don't get it, it won't be a positive thing. But if we do get it, I think it's maybe the most important thing to happen. Because if you think about it, we opened up our country to China. They come. We don't. I mean, they have very few restrictions, and they didn't open their country to us. Never made sense to me. It's not fair. And they've agreed to open China, fully open China. And I think it's going to be fantastic for China. I think it's going to be fantastic for us, and I think it's going to be great for unification and peace. China will also suspend and remove all of its non-monetary barriers. They've agreed to do that. Well, they're very numerous. But again, to me, the biggest thing that came out of that meeting is they've agreed. Now we have to get it papered, but they've agreed to open up China. It's going to be great for everybody. And third, I'm very happy to announce that Idan Alexander, an American citizen who until recently most thought was no longer living, thought was dead, is going to be released in about 2 hours, actually. And he's going to be released before the eyes of Steve Witkoff, who has done a fantastic job. I just, I know a lot of people that have a lot of talent. I know Steve, he had a lot of talent. But I know a lot of people with a lot of talent, but there's one that I thought had a special way about him, special personality. Aside from being a good deal maker, had a special way about him, and it was Steve. Knew very little about the subject matter, who does? But he learned it in about 2 hours. And he's been fantastic, so I want to just thank Steve. But they're going to be releasing Idan in about 2 hours from now, or sometime today, let's say. And again, they thought he was dead just a short while ago. His parents are so happy. They're so happy. So it's, as you know, Idan's the only American citizen who's captured and held hostage by Hamas since October 7th, 2023. And he's coming home to his parents, which is really great news. I mean, to me, it's big news. They thought he was dead. So that's that. So we'll be heading there, and we'll be seeing 3 primary countries. You know all about that: Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar. On Thursday's meeting with Russia and Ukraine is very important. I was very insistent that meeting take place. I think good things can come out of that meeting. Stop the bloodshed of the horrible. It's a bloodbath. But that 5,000 more, it's really much more. I'm trying to be conservative, more than 5,000 soldiers. Russian, they're not American soldiers. They're from Russia, they're from Ukraine, but they're people. They're human souls, and they're being killed at levels that we haven't seen since the Second World War. And it's every week. A lot of drone fighting. It's a whole new form of warfare, and it's violent and vicious. And so that's it. I'd like to go back to China just for a second. They're very heavy on the fentanyl. We're charging them, as you know, 20% for the fact that they send fentanyl into our country. And they've agreed that they're going to stop that. And, they'll be rewarded by not having to pay, hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs. So the fentanyl should stop. It comes from China. It's amazing. And comes through our southern border. It comes through our northern border, too. It comes through Canada and comes through our southern border. Much more through the southern border. But so that's a very important subject to me, because everybody in this room has lost friends or people that have family members that have died of fentanyl. So there's a big incentive for China to stop, and I take them at their word. They're going to work on that, I think, very hard. And one thing, when they work on something, they get it done. So now I'm about to depart on a historic visit. Some of you are going with us to, as I said, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and United Arab Emirates. Before I do, I'll sign one of the most consequential executive orders in our country's history. I don't think there's ever been anything signed like this, certainly not with respect to healthcare, nothing even close. I'm delighted to be joined on this occasion by Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is doing a really good job, I have to tell you that. CMS Administrator, a friend of mine, Dr. Mehmet Oz, who is an amazing guy. was telling Bobby before, Oz had a very successful show, but it hurt his reputation. Because when you're in show business, it hurts your reputation a little bit. It's good for you, but in terms of professionalism and being a doctor, it sort of hurts your reputation. This guy went to the best schools, was the best, top of the line. Then he did a television show, became a success, made a lot of money, all that stuff, but it sort of hurt him. And you know who I compare that to? I hate to say this, but a special woman, Jeanine Pirro. She was the toughest, smartest DA, maybe in our countries, in our cities and states, history, New York. She was really tough, really sharp. Then she did a show, and people didn't think of her quite the same way. She became more of an entertainment person, like Oz. Oz is not an entertainer. He's not really an entertainer. You know the real story. And she isn't either. She is unbelievable. She was one of the strongest district attorneys in the history of New York, highly respected, very tough, went after the drug dealers at a level that you don't see today anymore. And hopefully she's given up a tremendous, she's leaving the #1 show on cable television, one of the #1 shows on television, period, The Five, but they've got great people left behind, but she was a big part of it. And so I equated to that. Jeanine Pirro is unbelievable. FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty Makary, with a reputation that's second to none, and the job he's doing already has been fantastic. Thank you, Marty. And Director of National Institute of Health, Jay Bhattacharya, who has been, as you know, from Stanford, so highly regarded, and have all been working with us very hard on this. And the question they would ask, being a little bit new to the government aspect of it, is why doesn't somebody fight the drug price situation, meaning equalization? There's a term, it's called equalization. Nobody wants to mention that term. And I'm not knocking the drug companies. I'm really more knocking the countries than the drug companies, because they're forced to do things. But the drug lobby is the strongest lobby in this country, they say, the drug lobby. It's between that and lawyers, and they have a lot of power. But starting today, the United States will no longer subsidize the health care of foreign countries, which is what we were doing. We're subsidizing others' health care. Countries where they paid a small fraction of what, for the same drug, that what we pay many, many times more for. And we'll no longer tolerate profiteering and price gouging from Big Pharma. But again, it was really the countries that forced Big Pharma to do things that, frankly, I'm not sure they really felt comfortable doing. But they've gotten away with it, these countries. European Union has been brutal. And the drug companies actually told me stories. It was just brutal how they forced them. And European Union suing all our companies, Apple, Google, Meta. They're suing all of our companies. They end up, they have judges that are European Union centric, and they get rewarded 15 billion, 17 billion, 20 billion, and they use that to run their operation. Not going to happen any longer, that I can tell you. So what's been happening is we've been subsidizing other countries throughout the world, not just in Europe, throughout the world. European Union was the most difficult, from what I understand. I mean, I'll tell you a story. A friend of mine who's a businessman, very, very, very top guy. Most of you would have heard of him. A highly neurotic, brilliant businessman, seriously overweight, and he takes the fat shot drug. And he called me up, and he said, President, he calls me, he used to call me Donald, now he calls me President, so that's nice respect. But he's a rough guy, smart guy, very successful, very rich. I wouldn't even know how we would know this, but because he's got comments. Said, President, could I ask you a question? What? I'm in London, and I just paid for this damn fat drug I take. I said, it's not working. He said, I just paid $88. And in New York, I pay $1,300. What the hell is going on? He said, so I checked. And it's the same box, made in the same plant, by the same company. It's the identical pill that I buy in New York. And here I'm paying $88 in London. In New York, I'm paying $1,300. Now, this is a great businessman, but he's not familiar with this crazy situation that we have. But he was stunned. But it was just one of those stories. And I brought it up with the drug companies, represented by somebody who's very, very smart, good person too. And we argued about it for about half hour. And then finally he just said, because they can't justify it, he just said, look, you got me. You got me. I can no longer they've been justifying this crap for years. They said, oh, it's research and development. Well, I said, well, research and development, other countries should pay research and development too. It's for their benefit. It was just one of those things. And the other countries would set a price and they'd meet the price and they'd say, if you don't meet the price, you can't sell it in our country. I said, well, then you walk away and, they'll call you back and they'll sell it in the country. But now they'll have to do that. So for the first time in many years, we'll slash the cost of prescription drugs and we will bring fairness to America. Drug prices will come down by much more, really, if you think 59. If you think of a drug that is sometimes 10 times more expensive, it's much more than the 59%. It depends on the way you want to analyze it, but in one way you could analyze it that way. But between 59 and 80, and I guess even 90%. So when I worked so hard in the first term, and if I got prices down, I remember I was the only one to ever get prices down for a full year, but I'd get them down like 2%, and I thought it was like a big deal. Well, we're getting them down 60, 70, 80, 90%, but actually more than that if you think about it in the way mathematically. And Pharma has to say, we're sorry, but we'll not be able to do this any longer to these countries that have been so tough. They've been very tough, nasty. It's trade. And Pharma is also very powerful. And the Democrats have protected Pharma. This is the Democrats have protected Pharma. These are the Democrats. And by the way, I just called the Speaker of the House, and I just called the leader, our leader in the Senate, John Thune, Mike Johnson. Spoke to both of them. I said, when you score, you're going to have to score two things. You're going to have to, number one, score that hundreds of billions of dollars of tariff money is coming in. But even bigger than that, you're going to have to score that your cost for Medicaid and Medicare and just basically pharmaceuticals and drugs is going down at a level that nobody has ever seen before. It'll pay for the Golden Dome. I see the Golden Dome is there, see? That'll easily pay for the Golden Dome. And we'll have a lot of money left over. We need the Golden Dome, by the way, in this world. Although this world's a lot safer today than it was a week ago. And a lot safer than it was 6 months ago. We had people that had no clue what they were doing. So today Americans spend 70% more for prescription drugs than we spent in the year 2000. Think of that. Our country has the highest drug prices anywhere in the world by sometimes a factor of 5, 6, 7, 8 times. It's not like they're slightly higher. They're 6, 7, 8 times. There are even cases of 10 times higher. So that you go 10 times more expensive for the same drug, that's big numbers. Even though the United States is home to only 4% of the world's population, pharmaceutical companies make more than 2/3 of their profits in America. So think of that. With 4% of the population, the pharmaceutical companies make most of their money, most of their profits from America. That's not a good thing. Now, I think, by the way, I have great respect for these companies and for the people that run them. I really do. And I think they did one of the greatest jobs in history for their company, convincing people for many years that this was a fair system. And nobody really understood why, but I figured it out. For years, pharmaceutical and drug companies have said that research and development costs were what they are, and for no reason whatsoever. They had to be borne by America alone. Not anymore, they don't. This means American patients were effectively subsidizing socialist healthcare systems in Germany, in all parts of the European Union. They were the toughest of all. They were nasty. And I see that. I see that with trade too. European Union is in many ways nastier than China. Okay? And
Who says stop?
we've just started with them.
Fuck is
Oh, they'll come down a lot. You watch. We have all the cards. They treated us very unfairly. They sell us 13 million cars. We sell them none. They sell us their agricultural products. We sell them virtually none. They don't take our products. That gives us all the cards. And very unfair. So they're going to have to pay more for health care, and we're going to have to pay less. That's all it is. And believe it or not, because it's really the world we're talking about, not just the European Union, but because it's the world, the numbers are for the healthcare company not as bad as you would think. They'll make the same. I think the healthcare companies should make pretty much the same money. I really don't believe they should be affected very much, because it's just a redistribution of wealth. It's a redistribution where it could be the same top line, but it's going to be distributed differently. Europe's going to have to pay a little bit more. The rest of the world's going to have to pay a little bit more, and America's going to pay a lot less. Again, because it's a much smaller population than when you think of the whole world. So basically what we're doing is equalizing. There's a new word that I came up with, which I think is probably the best word. We're going to equalize, where we're all going to pay the same. We're going to pay what Europe's going to pay. We're going to all pay. Now, there may be some countries in dire need, and I would be willing to sacrifice that and help them. But it's called most favored nation. We are going to pay the lowest price there is in the world. We will get whoever is paying the lowest price. That's the price that we're going to get. So remember that. So we're no longer paying 10 times more than another country. Whoever is paying the lowest price, we will look at that price and we will say that's the price we're going to pay. Most favored nations. That's what it is. One breast cancer drug costs Americans over $16,000 per bottle, but the same drug from the same factory, manufactured by the same company, is 1/6 that price in Australia and 1/10 that price in Sweden. 1/10 for the identical product. A common asthma drug costs almost $500 here in America, but costs less than $40 in the United Kingdom. So $40 in the United Kingdom, which is where this gentleman told me he paid a small amount for his shot. But think of that. So $40 versus $500 here. That's not even bad. There are much worse examples. And the weight loss drug, Ozempic, costs 10 times more in the United States than in the rest of the developed world. 10 times more. Why? What did we do? Suckers. But we never had a president that had the courage to do this. And nobody knew the system like I do. I mean, I've gotten to know this system so well. And I don't think it's fair that it benefits Obamacare. Obamacare is a failure. It's not a good health care. It works. I made it work. I had an obligation to make it work, or an obligation to let it die. I chose that we had to make it work. I had to make it as good as possible. And I had a choice. I could have let it fail or make it as good as possible. As good as possible means it was still not very good, but it survived. And we did the right thing. But this makes everything work. And I don't want to have a bad form of healthcare work because of the fact I was able to cut drug prices by 80 or 90%. So we're going to maybe come up with something. I think this gives the Republicans a chance to actually do a healthcare that's much better than Obamacare and for less money, which if you guys would work on that along with Congress. But I do want to say that Democrats could have done this a long time ago. They have fought like hell for the drug companies, and they knew they were doing the wrong thing. And it's going to be very hard. I was just telling the leader and the speaker that it's going to be very hard for the Democrats to vote against the one big, beautiful deal. The greatest tax cuts in history, greatest everything, but now you have the big drug prices because that's going to be included. It makes that whole situation different from a scoring standpoint. I just told them, I called them up about this. I said, I'm going to do something that's going to be very monumental, and you're going to be scoring. You better tell your people that this is going to score really well, and then add hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs to your list also. But as big as the tariffs are, this is something that really hits quickly. 5 years ago, I signed an executive order to confront this disaster, but only confront it in a minor way. It was a good confrontation, but never to this extent. It took people a little while to understand a very complicated system. But Joe Biden, without any knowledge of what he was doing, terminated the policy and then pretended to negotiate under a new system. And then you take a look, 5 out of the 10 drugs that he negotiated are now over 200% more expensive in America than the rest of the world, and far more expensive than when he even got involved. Much more expensive than when he got involved. Joe Biden's plan was as you know, because you wrote about it, you don't say it very loudly, but it was a very big failure, was his whole presidency. First, I'm directing the U.S. trade representatives and Department of Commerce to begin investigations into foreign nations that extort drug companies by blocking their products unless they accept bottom line and very low dollar amounts for their product, unfairly shifting the cost burden onto American patients. And we'll be taking a look at that very strongly. The biggest thing we're going to do is we're going to tell those countries, like those represented by the European Union, that, that game is up, sorry. And if they want to get cute, then they don't have to sell cars into the United States anymore. It's a very big subject. And they won't get cute, because I'll defend the drug companies from that standpoint. They were given a price by the European unions and other countries. This is what you do. This is what we're going to pay. We're not going to pay any more. Let America pay the difference, because there was a big shortfall. Let America pay it. And that's what we did, but we're not doing it anymore. Next, my administration will secure what we're calling most favored nations drug pricing. The principle is simple. Whatever the lowest price paid for a drug in other developed countries, that is the price that Americans will pay. And we're using the term other developed countries because there are some countries that need some additional help, and that's fine. I think that's very good. Some prescription drug and pharmaceutical prices will be reduced almost immediately by 50 to 80 to 90%. Big Pharma will either abide by this principle voluntarily or will use the power of the federal government to ensure that we are paying the same price as other countries. To accelerate these price restrictions and reductions, my administration will also cut out the middlemen. We're going to totally cut out the famous middlemen. Nobody knows who they are, middlemen. I've been hearing the term for 25 years, middlemen. I don't know who they are, but they're rich. That I can tell you. We're going to cut out the middlemen and facilitate the direct sale of drugs at the most favored nation price directly to the American citizen. So we're cutting out, Bobby, the middlemen. It's so important, right? They got to do that. They're worse than the drug companies. They don't even make a product, and they make a fortune. It's very smart business people, that I can tell you. If companies make no significant progress toward most favored nation pricing, which we will insist that they do, so I think I'm wasting time talking about it. We're going to insist upon it. And we'll insist, and we're going to help the drug companies with the other nations, because those other nations do a lot of trading with us. They need our trade, just like China needed us very badly. They need us just as badly. We will do whatever we have to with trade, just like we did some great things with trade with India and Pakistan. Really helped the situation, very heated situation. It lost millions of people, more than millions. I mean, many millions of people. And they want to do business with America, but we never used our powers that way. We never knew how. We never had people that knew how to do that. We'll also open up America's market to safe and legal imports of affordable drugs from other countries, putting dramatic downward pressure on prices. And if necessary, we'll investigate the drug companies, and we'll, in particular, investigate the countries that are doing this, and we will add it onto the price that we charge them for doing business in America. In other words, we'll add it onto tariffs if they don't do what is right, which is everybody should equalize, everybody should pay the same price. And special interests may not like this very much, but the American people will. I am doing this for the American people. I'm doing this against the most powerful lobby in the world, probably the drug lobby, drug and pharmaceutical lobby. But it's one of the most important orders I think that's ever been signed, certainly with regard to health care or health in the history of our country, and it's an honor to be a part of it. And I'd like to ask Robert F. Kennedy to say a few words, please. Thank you.